Hey, this is Yuri Lowenthal. I play Peter Parker in Spider-Man and PS4 Spider-Man, and when I'm not swinging around the city, saving it from crime, I'm listening to the Raw Dogs podcast. They talk about video games and beer, two things that I like very much. So, check them out.
Then I went to Dream Lab because I'm like, I want a hookah. I want to smoke something. And I literally get in there and I'm just like I'm not awkward in it because I've taken a lot of mushrooms in the past.
Hey everybody, welcome to Raw Dogs for a very Yakuza Christmas Part 2.
Ooh la la.
Ooh la la. I am Bradley Chan. Bradley Kuhn. I already forgot the honorifics that Dylan explained so eloquently before.
Maybe if you want to treat yourself with any respect, you would be San.
I am Bradley Senpai to all of you listeners.
Oh, Jesus. I am Dylan Sama, which implies a certain superiority / godhood.
And we got Jamie Mama.
Oh, no, Jamie Sensei.
Jamie Sensei. I'll be Bradley
That's
Mama.
great. Yeah, Bradley Mama.
Mama-chan.
Bradley Mama.
Mama-san.
Bradley Mama.
Working Bradley Mama.
We are here to talk more about the Yakuza series. If you are listening to this, then it's possible, I mean, if you're listening to it when it came out, that you just had holidays, so hopefully those went well for you, and it is going to be New Year's soon, so be safe, get drunk, and go Dragon Kart racing, or whatever it is you kids do these days. We just play video games mostly. I'm Brad, yeah.
I'm Dylan. I do more than video games, but take that however you want.
But who's counting?
Yeah, I do too. I talk about them too. And
We do talk about them.
I write about them.
See, here's the reality.
I edit about them.
Exactly.
I do a lot about them.
I just drink beer and talk.
So in the previous episode, we talked at length about the very first game and a lot about Kiwami, the remake. But there are a lot of other games that have the exact same framework. And we are going to be powering through a lot of them to discuss if there's anything of note. So Yakuza 2 came out for the PS2 in Japan, December 7th, 2006. And in North America, September 9th, 2008. This is the first time that Kiryu retires, and he will retire every game following.
I'm done now.
I'm too old for this, Shitaru.
We need you back. You're the dragon. We don't know how to do it without you. Like, you've literally been the Yakuza for a long time. Figure your shit out. But nope, Kazuma always gets dragged back in. We don't need to talk too much about the stories of these following ones. I
don't think it matters too much.
Needless to say, Kiryu and Daigo Dojima deal with the Omi Alliance, blah, blah, blah. The bad guy is the Dragon of Kansai. I do like the bad guy, Ryoji.
He's interesting. He's got blonde hair.
Kiryu is a 38-year-old in this game. Daigo Dojima is the son of the person you allegedly killed.
By that time.
They do add a new location, which is cool. They add Sotenbori in Osaka. I do like that they do add new locations with some of these other iterations.
Right.
This is the based on Dotonbori, the entertainment district. They wanted to improve the fighting system so you could have multiple enemies. You could switch between them while fighting. This is the addition of heat moves originally, and in America, we received Japanese audio only for this release.
My favorite Bob Seger.
Are heat moves? They added more mini games. Doesn't matter.
I listened to it yesterday. It's fine.
Favorite sub story from this game: the unnerving ghost tape, where somebody gives Kazama Kiryu a tape that allegedly will kill you if you watch it. So he watches it.
Oh, The Ring.
And there's like a spooky lady on a playground. And he says, "Oh." And then he goes outside and he sees this ghost lady, maybe following him. And then he's like, "I don't want no part of this." So the guy who gave him the tape said, "Oh no, you're being haunted. You have to give me 2 million yen now for this stone that'll protect you." And Kiryu's just thinking, I don't want to get haunted. So he pays the guy. But then a real ghost shows up behind him. And the guy said, "Oh, I just made that up. Ghosts, I didn't know that ghosts were real." And then Kazuma keeps the money and he drops the tape like, that was stupid. And then the ghost disappears when he drops the tape. So he was getting haunted the whole time.
That's so fucking dumb.
Also, I think it's in Kiwami 2 where he deals with the diapers for the first time. He finds a diaper cafe, which that's fun as well.
It's very funny.
Sounds very kinky.
Where do you get large-sized diapers?
Oh, everywhere. You can tell by the splatter stain.
Depends,
this was Taco
Brad.
Bell.
Come on.
I guess. I didn't realize. In Japan, they had a Japanese-only release for Ryoga Gotoku Kenzin, which translates to Like a Dragon Arrives. This came out on the PS3 only in Japan, March 6th, 2008. Plot summary. Takes place in 1605.
That's cool.
Whoa.
Follows the life of legendary swordsman Miyoto Musashi. It's
Oh, wow. That's weird.
It takes place in that time period with the same setup. There's like a location. You can walk around to real areas. There are mini games such as Chinchin, Hanafudu, turtle racing, watermelon slicing, theater shows. See, and they thought Americans wouldn't like this because it's about Japanese history. This sounds more exciting than any Yakuza game after
like
the first
this.
one.
I want to play this game already.
Locations in Kyoto, 4 fighting styles. You can have fists, 1 blade, 2 blades, or 2-handed blades. Like, this sounds so much more
It
interesting.
sounds sick.
Yeah, but it was nothing for uncultured Americans. And they do use the character models. So the main character does look like Kazama Kiryu, but no tattoo because that wouldn't have been allowed back then.
It also didn't really exist for them at the time.
Yeah, but like it's also got the models for like Nishiki and Majima. It's very much a Yakuza game, but it's set in a different time period with a whole different framework.
How did they get this even fucking made? Like, that's so weird.
Computers.
Sake bottle toppling, which is like bowling. It sounds absolutely cool.
It sounds very cool. It sounds like efficient game design, right? Let's just take all the same character designs we have. Let's slightly tweak them, make them look a little bit more old-timey.
Like how Breath of the Wild 2 is going to be?
No, this is
Zing!
this is real Assassin's Creed though, kind of too. They said, "All right, we're going to a different time period, same game." But I am very sad this has not had any sort of a port to America yet because I would have been way more interested in visiting this game than a lot of the other ones.
There's a game called Way of the Samurai or something like that.
That's a great franchise of games.
I've heard they're
I
good.
love those games. I found that on PlayStation Now like a few months ago. It's like, holy shit.
Really?
This is reliving my childhood right now.
Okay. See, I've heard good things.
3 is the best.
I've heard that too. Yeah.
It's so good.
Up next was what is considered the worst of the Yakuza series by many, Yakuza 3 for the PlayStation 3.
I love the plot of this.
Okay. Released in Japan, February 26, 2009. It came to America a year later. Let's hear your plot.
Kiryu is now running the orphanage. What's the kid's name again?
Haruka?
Haruka. With Haruka, I guess.
Yep.
And it's on a tropical beach, which is awesome. I remember when I was an orphan on a beach. And then some conglomerates want to come and buy it to make it a golf course or some shit resort.
They want to there's 2 people. One wants to make it like a military
That's
facility.
right. But you don't know that yet.
You learn that very soon. And
Okay.
you learn that someone else wants to make it into a resort and they both have bad intentions.
Yes.
And I just want to be retired and run an orphanage because when someone thinks of the Yakuza series and they pick up, all right, I'm going to play this one finally, and you run an orphanage for the first 10 hours.
It's an orphanage simulator.
It's bad. Like the start of the game is pretty bad where you have to interact with all the kids and their problems and try and solve them before you can actually get into Yakuza stuff.
And Kiryu should have trained all the kids.
He should treat them like Pikmin and launch them.
And also, this deals with the government and Albert Wesker.
Yes.
And is Kazuma still alive from the first game? That is the name of his like father figure who was allegedly murdered. But allegedly, he's back and people are getting killed by him. It's definitely not his twin brother who no one's ever talked about ever before.
Dun, dun, dun.
And lots of shit happens. Additions, they added Chase Battle, which is a running sequence, which it's fine.
Kind of,
I don't like running
it's kind of
sequences
in
and-
most of the games. Like after that, like
I hate running sequences.
Something that
You have to press like a...
it's DDR. That's all it
stupid.
is.
No, it's AT.
There was even that running
It's
sequence.
Temple Run. It's Temple Run or whatever.
It was
stupid.
it was
I
even in
fucking
Kiwami, just not as advanced air quotes as the later games.
Yeah.
They added Revelations, which is cool. I do like Revelations. This is where you use cameras to record moves and techniques by another character. One of my favorites, I forget if it was Yakuza 5 or 6. It might have been 4 even, maybe 4, but you see a character steal ladies' underwear and fall off a building, and then like a diaper falls on him, and you have to decide what the revelation is. And the revelation is, wow, cool moves, or something like that. And you learn how to do one of the moves he does while he's falling. You have a revelation by watching something happen, and you learn a new move based on what you saw. And other games, you have different protagonists. They will learn different things from the same person if you watch it from another angle. But revelations are cool. Training with mentors, and this is the first game to feature trophies. Fishing is a new mini game, which is kind of cool in this. And you can go to Ryukyu, which is in Okinawa, based on Makushi. I don't know.
I think the orphanage is in Okinawa as well, right?
Osaka.
Osaka, okay.
Yes. Favorite sub-story of mine that I saw in this game, it's called Early Honeymoon. 2 characters returned from previous games. Akimoto almost killed himself in the first game over Mizuki, and has been desperately trying to get back with her. In Yakuza 3, Mizuki has lied to him, and he now believes that she is his sister. He is now happy to have a family.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Pivotal to the plot.
Yeah. And Kazuma, what should I do? Be true to yourself.
Don't kill.
Do you have an orphanage? It's fulfilling. My Kazuma is just the Tatsu from Turtles. Kiryu, now vanish. Kiryu, now lead. Yakuza 4 came out for the PlayStation 3. This is known in Japan as Ryo Gakotoku 4 Densetsu wo Sugumono, the successor to a legend. This came out March 18th in 2010. In North America, March 15th the next year. This game is great. This might be my favorite of the mainline Yakuza games.
4?
4. It starts out no Kiryu for a long time, which I really like. You instead play as Akiyama, Shun Akiyama, an incredibly likable loan shark who is sleeping in, not collecting on loans. And there's a mystery about him, but you don't see Kiryu for a long time, and you get another take on the world, which I find to be such a breath of fresh air after, 2 was great, and then 3 you have Kiryu running an orphanage, which is not what you want from your crime drama. I don't say I don't want his character to do that. I don't want that to be a playable 10-hour part of the game.
Right.
And to have a new character, a new aspect of the universe, I just think it's great. And you get 4 playable characters in this game, and they all play differently. Mostly, I think this experience is really refreshing. Do you know much about this game?
A little bit. This is the one, and just refresh my memory because they really do blend together. This is the one where the main guy that you're talking about, the loan shark, he's just that real fucking badass. He goes guns blazing into that one cafe.
No. That's that game.
Okay.
But that's Taiga Saejima, another one of the main characters.
Okay.
Who, in this game, he looks, if you've seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, he is the large Native American character. This dude is 8 foot with long hair, and he has been in jail for killing 18 people. And this jumps the fucking shark hard. Spoiler warning for Yakuza 4, if you fucking care. He goes into an establishment. This is Majima's brother. Taiga's his name, Saejima. And he has like 2 or 3 guns, and he shoots literally everybody in there, including the boss at the end. He goes to jail, and you find out later, actually, the guns all had rubber bullets. Nobody died. And then the one guy who made it seem like he was trying to protect the boss, survives, shoots everyone in the head as part of a big plot to try and get some fucking machinations moving for like the Jingguan mafia or something. And
What? How does? Never mind.
I know. No, this is one of those points where I said, this is really reaching. Yeah. And then only one police officer thinks, there's no way a guy could walk in, headshot 18 people, and just, you survived. He's like, you're guilty, and now you work for me. But and we thought Kiryu was the dope on a rope. Now we got Saejima, who is a beast. Like, he's a powerhouse. But so you have this guy, and there's like a great jailbreaking sequence with him. And Saejima functions best when he's in jail because that's more of a fun environment. But Akiyama, your loan shark, fast talking, funny, likable. There are reasons to like this character and not Kiryu. And then you also play as Masayoshi Tanamura. He has two dads who were killed on the force, but why? He had one dad who was killed, and then he was adopted, and that other dad was killed as well. Both police officers.
Bad luck.
Yeah, and he's trying to figure out what happened there. At the very end, they all walk in slow motion in suits towards Millennium Tower, which, good. That's I saw that, and I thought it was dumb, but also exactly what I wanted.
From a story so ridiculous, yeah, that's a fitting end.
Different characters, different fighting styles, no locations outside of Kamurocho to explore. The only game to do this besides Yakuza 1, which is a little weird. You do have the prison break sequence, but that's it. There's no other cities to explore, which is a little weird. They added table tennis where you can watch ladies' boobs bouncing and get hit by ping pong balls. That's pretty important to the plot.
It's DOA.
Yeah. So it's hot.
It's bounce engines.
It's COA, came on arrival.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Second coming of Christ.
This did add duets with non-playable characters and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Skipping forward.
Yeah. There was a couple of PSP games that came out.
Oh, boy.
Not in America. They're called Kurohyo, Ryo ga Goto Shinsho, and Ryo ga Goto Ashura Hen, which means Black Panther, Like a Dragon New Chapter, and Black Panther 2. Not the same character from the MCU.
Good.
I've been waiting for that sequel.
There's not much known I could find about these games online because these weren't brought to America. Limbs can be damaged and broken. There was a whole TV series made about the first game, but I wouldn't subject myself to that.
Was it anime?
No, live action.
Oh, really? Yeah, definitely not.
But there was, this time, they said, Americans aren't getting Yakuza. What are we doing wrong? We need to make something catering to the American audience. I don't know if you're familiar with this game.
Dead Souls?
Yakuza Dead Souls.
I am familiar with it. I watched a 1-0 punctuation video of it when I was in 2009.
Okay. What are your thoughts on Dead Souls? What do you remember?
Nothing. I remember nothing.
Survival horror.
I watched a review of it and I said, that sounds dumb.
You know this like beautiful, beloved franchise that has meaning behind it? Let's just make it a zombie game.
Just looking at the cover makes me cringe.
Ugh.
That's all it, yeah, it's zombies. Ugh.
Came out in Japan in 2011. Came out June 9th. And in North America, it came out March 13th, 2012. Third-person shooter.
Oh, yeah.
It's a non-canonical side story set during 2011. There has been a sudden outbreak that causes residents to become zombies. Kamurocho is quarantined. And guess what? Haruka is inside the quarantine.
Whoa.
4 characters. You can play as Shun Akiyama, Kazama Kiryu, Goro Majima, and returning from Yakuza 2, despite being dead, Ryuji Goda returns. And not only that, his arm is now a Barrett-style gun arm.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I guess why not? Fuck it.
Choice.
You can have partners, combat support characters. You can choose who to bring in that will support you in different ways. They still have.
Sounds like Scarlet Nexus, which I actually did play, by the way.
They have.
I haven't played it yet.
Even though it's quarantined, you can go play mini games. You can go to the hostess clubs, and restaurants are open.
Oh, they're like terrified, but they're just shaking their heads and going, I just wish I could go home to my mom. Just I'll service you however I can. I just don't get it.
Where's the soap land?
I have heard that
Dead are rising from their graves.
I have heard one of the best mini games is actually Trapped in Dead Souls and only playable there, and that's Boxelios 2 Turbo. Boxelios is the
I
only.
don't know what that means.
Well, Boxelios is the only exclusive Sega series like in the arcades that isn't in a real game.
Okay.
And 2 Turbo is supposed to be the best. I've heard from multiple spots. So around this time, February 2012, Nagoshi became chief creative officer at Sega of Japan. And they keep pumping these games out, Dylan. I know you're excited to hear more.
Oh, I keep thinking about Sega. I keep thinking about why wasn't there a Billy Hatcher sequel?
Well, around this time, Sega became Sonic and Yakuza.
Essentially,
Yes.
It always makes me wonder because they have a rich well to draw from that they just never even tried anything else. They were trying to play it so safe because games at this time were suddenly starting to become very brown shooteries. That's the best way to describe it. And so I think they were just trying to really play everything close to the chest because that's nothing that they could have done. So, I mean, I get why they did it, but I mean, they were still pumping out trash Sonic games. What's the nearest one to this? It would have been...
They announced a new trash Sonic game recently.
It would have been...
Sonic Frontiers. You saw the trailer?
No, I haven't seen the trailer.
Sonic Frontiers has a trailer now.
Show me a picture.
I'll watch the trailer.
Show me a trailer. I will say this. I get why they did it and why they played it all close to the chest, but they also have so many good things going for them. They have creative people and creative ideas. They just really fucking squander them. They need the attitude that they had way back in the day. All right, I'm going to watch Sonic Frontiers. Yes. Why does he look like that? They're making a Breath of the Wild Sonic.
Well,
I cannot believe
they didn't tell you anything in that, right? All it was Sonic in a pretty background. You don't know.
It is implication. Oh my god. What?
So yeah, Sonic is fighting gods again, so that's exciting.
Finally.
Yakuza 5 came out for the PlayStation 3, and my god, is series fatigue. I played every one of these games in anticipation for this for like 5 to 10 hours. And then I watched maybe 3 hours of YouTube videos about each game. I tried to do as much research, but there was no way I was going to go through all of them. And my eyes just started rolling back in my head so hard when another thing happens, another retirement, more betrayals, more surprises, more chairmen. And it's at this point, I'm just not even able to keep it straight. But PS3, the Japanese subtitle is Yume Kanaeshi Mono, Fulfiller of Dreams. Ugh. This game is about dreams, okay? Following your dreams. Came out in Japan, December 5th, 2012. It took 3 years to come to America, December 8th, 2015. Double the development cycle for this one, a whole 2 years. Suck it, Grand Theft Auto 6. Suck it, Elder Scrolls. Even then, like, we're going to take our time in this one. 2 years. And I will say this about Yakuza 5. There's 5 protagonists. Each one is its own video game. Each one is at least 10 to 15, 20 hours if you want to do all of it. You could have each one be a standalone video game sellable.
I hate that.
Well, no, but this is one game. But I'm just saying there's that much content in this thing. It really is kind of mind-boggling. It takes place 5 different locations. It's got Kamurocho. It's got Sotenbori returning from Yakuza 2. And then you have 3 new spots for the other characters, Nagasugai, Tsukimono, and Kinaicho. And I said some of those words right. Did you do any research on Yakuza 5 before?
The only thing I saw in Yakuza 5 was you play as, can't remember her name. Haruka, and you try to be a pop star, a pop idol for like the majority of the beginning, which...
Luckily, it's not the beginning.
Okay, good.
But 25 hours into the game, you will be spending a lot of time.
And that's unfortunate because as much as I love pop stars,
that's unfortunate.
That's not what I expect from a Yakuza game. And I think that was a really big misstep from a North American perspective. Japanese perspective, I get it. That is really big in culture over there. But I think for a global game, that could be pushing it.
And even from a cultural perspective, it's big in Japan, but also people are buying a Yakuza game. And to have a mandatory 10-hour mini game, mandatory 10-hour rhythm game section. Dylan, welcome back. We were discussing how...
have to acknowledge it. It's fine.
Well, we do because we need you to hear this. There are 5 main characters, and at one point, Haruka is a main character, and it is a rhythm mini game where she's trying to become an idol, and it's kind of like Parappa the Rappa, but with dancing and idol culture. It's kind of like American Idol is a 10-hour part of this Yakuza game.
I agree with that.
You think it's a good idea, right?
Sure.
Yeah. And you think it's a good idea too, that they only have 3 songs that you hear on repeat.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I thought so. Kiryu, he's retired and he is no longer living at the orphanage here. He is just driving a taxi as like his retirement job. He's living in another city. They do add a whole driving thing, and you do have to, when you're taking fares, follow the rules to a T, or you lose like points in the game, which is kind of cool. I do like realistic driving,
But then you have the extreme taxi racing.
Well, these stupid hoodlums keep wanting to street race, and Kazama is driving a police officer. He's like, we can't do anything to stop him. I wish a real hero would do something. And he goes, and
Tokyo Drift.
You're straight up like riding on 2 wheels between semis and stuff. This game is either serious and contemplative or Fast and the Furious.
Let's face it. I think
it is Fast and the Furious, these games.
These games, the whole series is Fast and Furious. Family is important.
Saejima is in prison again, breaks out, and he becomes there's a whole hunting section where he has to help an old man who there's a snowmobile accident. And so you have a hunting section where you actually go hunting, trapping, and it's all snow. This is by all accounts the worst part of the game, worse than the rhythm.
Really?
And he also becomes Santa Claus at some point.
Makes sense.
Yes, there are Santa hunters in this city. This is a sub-story, but he's like, I'll wear the suit. I don't fucking care. And Saejima is a badass, even though most of his stories suck. And then these kids start harassing him for presents, and there's a section where he's running away from kids, which is funny. But then he finds the Santa hunters. He beats the shit out of them, and the kids show up. They're like, "Can I have that bat?" And he's like, "Yeah." So he hands all of the gangster weapons to the children, and Christmas is real. Once again, Akiyama returns, and he becomes kind of like the leader for Haruka's rhythm minigame. And when you think there wouldn't be any need for more characters, they introduce Shinuda, who is a former pro baseball player, and he got kind of screwjobbed out of professional baseball because he was cheated in a situation, and he wants to get back into pro baseball. And Daigo Dojima, for some reason, is interested in helping him.
Pretty much like a newbie developer really loved baseball and really, really pitched, we need a baseball character in this game. It makes no sense.
I would never play it.
Baseball?
I have played baseball. They tried to recruit me once.
And he said, I'm retiring to run an orphanage.
I'm retired to run an orphanage. You couldn't pay me enough. I have principles. And
Can you pay me?
Slapped the owner in the face.
Can you pay me the joy of raising
and
children?
I said, oh, you little. I said, oh, you little.
They added heat climaxes in this, which is a flashy showdown move in battle when certain conditions are met. Dance battles for Haruka, taxi driving, hunting, some mini games that they did add. Taiku no Tatsujin, the full game, which is pretty cool. It. But it's unfortunately not great on a controller.
It works fine.
It does work. Virtua Fighter.
That's cool.
There's a snowball fighting mini game for Saejima. There is a comedy team mini game where Haruka is in a weird dual improv, where this guy essentially you have to slap him at the right time. I think.
Who is the more cringeworthy?
It's
You got air hockey, which is, this is like a take on ping pong, but it's about watching the ladies' boobs bounce while you play air hockey instead of ping pong.
that's hot.
Very hot. And this is the 20th game to ever receive a perfect score in Famitsu, 40 out of 40.
Really?
Wow.
I know you guys think that like it's silly and a lot of it's not great, but it's so packed with shit to do, which I don't think is necessarily why it's good. But if I had to choose like one game to play like forever, there's so much in it. There's like 5 different games. It's just such a package. Even though, do I want Kazuma to be taken out of driving a taxi? He's clearly been out of the game 3 times before. Can he just stay retired instead? Like the 7th chairman is hunting him down like, dude, we don't know what to do without you. It's like, figure it out. I am retired and driving a taxi. Right. I can't, at some point, you don't want Kiryu to just be the whole point of these games. And they got so close in Yakuza 4, like, make Akiyama the new guy. And it worked. And make Saejima new, whatever. Have a few characters, but they always have to just, all right, here you go.
It's Lethal Weapon. Murtaugh is always trying to retire, but he's never retired.
Oh, it's like, can't do it. And it becomes a little bit like Live Free or Die Hard, where it's like, we don't need more McClane, but here's more of what the people paid for the first 4 times.
When he fought Russia.
All of it. Yeah. He fought all of it. The American release for this was over 3 years later, and originally it was digital only. This game is very pretty and very cool, but if you want to play it, take a year off between all other Yakuza games because they are seriously, you're having the same experiences.
Yeah.
And you will feel fatigue and you will drown and die from it.
Well, you had COVID, so you got to deal with it.
But that's my point from episode 1, right? It's not to beat it to death, but there is a lot of repetition. It's good repetition at points, but a lot of fatigue because it's like, again, really?
I mean, another city, another series of mini games, another series of funny and interesting side stories. The bowling is the same. The billiards are the same. Most of the mini games are going to be a lot of the same stuff. They do introduce new ones, but karaoke is largely going to be what you did before. And it is a great game if you do want to get lost. It's one of those games that you're supposed to not necessarily want to finish. You want to go explore. You want to do more of it. And you can get lost in this game for periods of time, but you will also just take a long break between games because I tried to experience a lot of these in a row and it became unfun after a while.
It almost seems, I haven't tried Yakuza 5, but it seems more close to the comparison that I hate, GTA and Yakuza. Yakuza 5 seems more like a GTA experience where realistically you're not missing much in a GTA game if you don't finish the story. It's more about the experience and driving around, all the cool shit you can do.
And the dance battles.
Dance battles, yeah.
And the hunting. Everyone.
Snowball fights.
But you could like just put 20 different things that happen on this game on a wall. Like, all right, what would happen in the same game? And said none of these things would happen in the same game, but all of them happen in one game.
That's how they develop the game.
Needless to say, though, Kiryu is definitely retired now, or maybe dead. But
He's like
regardless,
99.9% retired.
he's never coming back at the end of this game. Up next, they made Ryu ga Gotoku Ishin, which means Like a Dragon Restoration, Japan only. This came up for the PS4 and PS3 in Japan, February 22nd, 2014. Plot summary takes place in 1853 to 1867.
Another one I want to play.
Follows the adventure of Samurai Sakamoto Ryoma. And again, this is another one. This is set in a different period, in a different location. Mini games include cooking, pedaling, chicken racing, karaoke, Japanese dancing, and noodle making.
Karaoke.
They actually had a karaoke style game here too, yeah.
And what was the time frame again? 18 something?
What they didn't call it karaoke,
Okay.
but they said like sing show or something. I don't know. What they call it.
show.
Sing show, super fun time.
But it's, 4 fighting styles: hand-to-hand, sword, pistol, and wild dance, which is sword and pistol. Again, they didn't bring this over, which is a real shame. If they had one like package deal of those two with a subtle remaster, I would be a million times more interested, because what I love about the Yakuza series is getting lost in a culture and a time and a place. And I've already been at Kamurocho for a long time. Give me something different, and I will eat that shit up. People like the Seven Samurai, but you're not ready to give us a samurai Yakuza game. That's what we want.
It's just like the comparison in episode 1 between movies, right? Like things get a little bit tired because they think this is what people want. Let's just give them what they want instead of trying to push the borders and try to come up with something unique, i.e. the Japan only releases of these, 1800 time setting. That, to me, both of those games sound a lot more appealing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I would get lost in those.
Out of 9, like, it's more interesting than 90% of these games.
Yeah.
But Americans are too dumb. We wouldn't get it, guys. We'd be like, oh, where's the basketball? I mean,
Yoshinori, he's got to fucking dribble the ball a little bit better.
he can't even dribble basketball. He's playing chicken racing. Come on. At this point, though, they did make another conceited effort to bring Yakuza to America with Yakuza 0 for the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3.
This one actually hit, and this is the one that actually sparked people liking the series in America.
I think part of it is it's an approachable entry.
It's a better video game.
Well, it's
on all accounts.
But one of the reasons I think that people picked it up though at all is it's the beginning of the story. You don't feel like you're missing something if you jump in at a weird time. If you tell me that there is a Spider-Man 7 or Spider-Man 0, which is going to be the origin story, the prequel, I'd rather start at the beginning and know, like, I don't want to feel like I missed something. So 0 makes sense for new players.
Yeah.
Plus, like you said, it's a better game.
I don't think it launched the game at all, because clearly there was a big audience for the Yakuza series. But
there was.
To Brad's point, this is what really sparked the new players coming on board.
It was, and it was flashier. It was, like I said, it was a it was a period piece. And
People love the 80s.
They do. And especially Japan during the 80s. It's like the booming. Like it's like the 90s were okay to Japan. The 80s were great for Japan. The 2000s, not so much. So,
just like America.
I mean, kinda. Yeah. But their 80s were way better than our 80s.
More coke.
80s D.
No, you're not allowed to do drugs at all in Japan. They catch you doing drugs, you're fucking going away forever. Like, you smoke a little bit of weed in Japan and you're fucked for the rest of your life.
But if you want to go to like pervy underwear bars and get DVDs of ladies wearing that underwear, that's fine.
That's cool. That's wholesome family fun.
I know a few spots. You guys ever go to Ijinko? Ijinko? I don't know how to say any of these. Sotenbori. Go to Sotenbori. I know that one. The plot summary. This takes place in 88. That's the year I was born. Kiryu was a young Yakuza, 20 years old. Yes, he was 20 in 88.
Can you imagine being a member of the Yakuza at 20 years old?
And
A lot of people are.
And much like all of the series, Kiryu doesn't know how to talk to women or do almost anything. And she's like, you go to this bar, you're cool, you buy a drink. He's like, oh. He's framed for murder, leaving him stripped of his place in the Tojo.
I'm sensing a pattern here.
It happened again. He is framed for murder twice in the first game.
Again, but before.
But before.
He is and then Majima is the other main character that you play throughout the game. He's a cabaret club manager. He helps protect a blind girl who he's supposed to kill. And everybody is desperately trying to get an empty lot in this game because they're trying to buy up all the property to build the Millennium Tower, and they don't know who owns this one tiny lot, and they'll pay any amount of money, but they just need to know who owns it to get it. And maybe this blind girl is involved somehow because she is the twin brother of Kazama Kiryu, and he jumps in front of a bullet, and it was his father the whole time, and the blind girl can actually see.
So wait a minute.
One of those things was true.
So wait a minute. Kiryu is framed for murder yet again. He has to protect a girl.
This is Majima protecting the girl.
Oh, okay.
Different. Whoa.
This is so different.
Whoa. Way different.
Hey, slow down, bud.
This is Majima-san. Majima-kun.
Depends on who's talking.
80s is great. 80s are great. The mini games.
80s be good.
Classic old Sega games. What's great, the Sega arcades, all filled with old arcade games, which is so cool. I love that change of pace. You can invest in real estate. Love it. Never did it.
Imagine real estate trading.
That would be a real game.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just baby mini games the whole time.
Baby want house.
Pocket circuit racing.
What is Esquo?
Dylan, you got me on that one. If you're wondering why we're talking about Party Babies, check out our MGC episode. We will have another Party Babies episode at some point. But, Pocket Circuit Racing is an odd choice, I think, for a new minigame story where you actually just go to like a little mini car racetrack and you have to race it against people.
Slot cars, yeah.
cool.
Yeah, that's a big culture over there. Yeah. I don't know much.
It was
around
at the
here,
time, yeah.
That was I think that was just an 80s thing, right? Like
It really
even
was,
back
yeah.
in Canada, pocket cars, slot cars were big.
Really?
Yeah.
In America, they weren't. They would have like the setups where you could buy like the toys and the kits for it,
yeah.
but it would just be like, oh well, it's basic. Aren't those things fucking fire hazards?
They were, yeah, for sure.
Because it's all based on the sparks that
Yep.
pushes the car forward.
It turns the little electric motor in the little dinky car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Physics.
different fighting styles for the two characters. Do you guys have anything specifically about Yakuza 0? Because that's one I think you both are a little more
Goro
familiar
is
with.
the most fun to play as.
Actually, I haven't played it yet because
Okay.
there's so much fucking Yakuza games. To
It's only
play,
like
right?
900 hours, dude.
Yeah, it's so simple, bro.
This
What,
is
do
the
you
one
got
I
a
put the
job
mo-
now or something?
This is the one I put the most time into. Goro is the most fun because he also gets weapons. He gets his bat, and then there's like a break dancing
Yeah.
fighting.
I read
style.
about that part. Yeah.
He's just more entertaining.
It's like capoeira.
pretty much. Yeah.
And it's also, this is one of the first times I've had fun going back to Kamurocho in a Yakuza game since I started like playing them, because I was like, it's at least the 80s. It's different in everything, looks different. People are dressed different. It feels different. Even though it's still same old Kamurocho, at least it feels like a setting change.
Yeah.
Even if it's very much the same. I wrote down one of the favorite sub-stories from this game, how to train your dominatrix. You have to role play with a dominatrix to help teach her how to humiliate people.
Oh, I always train all the dominatrix I fuck.
We're going to take a quick break to hear Majima do some karaoke, and we'll be right back.
素直に I love you 届けよきっと You love me 伝わるさ君に合うガラスの靴を探そう二人で Step and go いつまでも深夜12時を過ぎたって僕らのラブマジックは時計はしない
And we're back.
All right.
Because
So,
I'm
yes.
totally not hitting it.
No, after Yakuza 0, that's when Kiwami 1 actually did come out for the PS4. Landed in North America 2017. They added Majima everywhere because people loved Majima at this point. They did retcon a few things, add some more characters, new mini games. Kiwami 2 came out in North America August 28th, 2018. They added a new storyline with Majima there. And they added Clan Creator, which is a really strange, like gang fighting mini game where you control. It's almost like an RTS.
So like an RTS,
It's
yeah.
almost like an RTS
Yeah.
where you draft people because you have to protect your construction site. And they did add a wrestling story from Yakuza 6. It included famous wrestlers from the time. So it'd be like
Hulk Hogan.
well, not like that, but these Japanese wrestlers that for
Sumos.
Yakuza 2 would be like 2006. So people that were big back in the professional wrestling scene then. And they also added a pissing mini game called Toilets in the Sega arcades.
I want to play that game.
I wish we had somewhere in America, or like at least in Milwaukee, because that'd be fun.
Sons
Yakuza.
of bitches.
So Yakuza 6 is the Song of Life. That's the subtitle. It came-
Yakuza 6. The
Song of Life.
Yakuza 6 came out in PlayStation in PlayStation
In
4.
place-
It came out on the PlayStation 4 in Japan December 8th, 2016. Surprisingly, it took a year and a half for this to come to North America. I thought at this point they would be narrowing down the spread, but
No.
it did take a year and a half. Plot summary 2016. Kazama Kiryu is 48 years old.
And out of retirement.
He spends 3 years in prison to atone for his tainted name because Haruka was getting punished for her idol career for being associated with the Yakuza. And she wasn't able to even go around the orphanage because she was the Yakuza princess thing. People were upset because she came out at the end of 5 and said, "My father is Kazama Kiryu, an ex-Yakuza." She did this on stage as like, she needed to say who she was. It was a huge moment. But then everyone turns on her and she became like the Yakuza Haruka. So Kazuma voluntarily went to prison for 3 years to atone for his crimes. Like, now I'm a good person. When he comes back, though, to the orphanage, Haruka has gone missing and she's had a baby. And she is now comatose from a hit and run because if this wasn't Days of Our Lives enough.
This is just one, the plot line of one. Kiryu goes to jail.
And instead of being in charge of granted, like a 10-year-old, but this is, you see, like the opening scene is great because you don't know what's going on. It's just Kazuma in some random bar and the bartender is just talking with him and he's like, oh. And this guy, because he's like, you talking to this punk? This bitch? I'm your boy. And Kazuma's just like, oh. And he doesn't do anything. And this guy starts mad shit with Kiryu and takes his drink and slaps on the wall. And Kiryu just stands up and says, I'll be back. He says, like, I'll be right back. And he goes outside and beats the shit out of this dude, but then also protects him from real thugs. And then he comes back and he's just like, gets another drink. And then he looks over and there's a baby on the floor next to him. And he like gives the baby a bottle. And that's when that's the opening, because there's always in these games, they show something that happens like that'll be very important later in the game, but you don't know why it was important.
Still the same guy you know, but what? There's a baby.
And he left it on the floor to go fight a guy for 20 minutes.
I mean, where else are you going to leave a baby?
Well, don't bring it to the
locker.
bar.
A train locker.
So Kiryu is very concerned about Haruka, but she's missing. And he just goes into the hospital and grabs the baby. And Akiyama says, you can't just take a baby out of a hospital.
It's like,
And he says, ugh. He also says, I'm going to do it. Even though I know it's wrong, I'm going to take this fucking baby out of a hospital. And he's like, put that baby down. He's like, I'm going to take this baby. And then he sets the baby down and he fights his good friend Akiyama in a baby room with there's little baby beds everywhere. And they fly all over when you're fighting Akiyama. And then this cutscene starts and all of them are still in place. And Akiyama's like, I guess you're taking that fucking baby out of here. And he's like, I'm taking this fucking baby out of this hospital. And then right afterwards, Date shows up, the detective from the first game. He says, I talked to him. they said you can have the baby. They don't want to deal with you. So you actually just get to have the baby then. But
That's how I've gotten all the babies I've collected.
by fighting people.
Dylan, put the baby down. You can't just take this. I'm taking this fucking baby. This is the first game to use the new Dragon engine. The first title to have add-on purchases where you can buy stuff which isn't necessary. Not even good DLC, just the bullshit DLC.
Yeah.
Like a Santa costume.
That's good stuff. New location, Onimichi, and the cast and actors. This is the first one to have like many real people play themselves, like Japanese pro wrestlers. This is the first one. And Takeshi Kitano, a well-known actor, a big deal for this game was he had largely been saying video games suck. They're not art. No one would ever bother. And he was an actor in this game.
This guy's ass.
But then the moment someone said, I'll give you money, he says, I love video games.
So he's the Japanese Troy Baker.
No, Troy Baker.
Troy Baker loves video games.
He loves it. But this guy was like very critical. It was the guy who says video
Not as much as
this
he
is
loves
like
the
when
guitar.
who said video games are not art? Spielberg? No, Spielberg likes video games.
You're like a famous director.
I don't know. Someone
Jerry Bruckheimer.
It was someone who was saying video games are not art, but
Honestly, not a lot of people. This might have been way back in the day. It might have been Scorsese, but
Sounds like something he'd say.
he hates the MCU. Some mini games that were added for this.
I really hate to put my whatever.
Some mini games added for this. Puyo Puyo makes his first appearance.
Puyo,
Oh.
Puyo.
Puyo Puyo. That is, of course, the Raw Dog's favorite game canonically. We all love Puyo Puyo here.
Well, I mean, I do like Puyo Puyo.
Virtua Fighter 5.
Virtua Fighter 5, that's a fun one.
But do you guys know about the chat room mini game?
No, I've
do
never
not.
played this game.
Okay. It's typing of the boobies with real porn stars.
Nice, dude.
We are going to do a live watch of this.
Am I going to get an erection?
That is awesome.
I have to get the demon out.
Look at him waiting to chicken peck that.
Yeah. Oh.
I do not know how to type.
Oh, and the minigame is hitting the...
If you don't type in your response fast enough, she won't like your response. So it's typing in the boobies. So for this game, they hired 2 real porn stars to be in a chat room style minigame with Kiryu. He finds out like you can talk with
Call them
whip.
JAVs there.
You can talk. I thought that was just like Japanese audio file or something.
Japanese adult video.
Japanese audio file.
I don't know what it was.
Killer.
That was like a movie file. But Kiryu can chat with real porn stars. Like these are 2 are real. Like they hired porn stars. There's probably women in the game, but and he has to have a
They're
quick.
women in real life, too.
He has to have a quick, witty response, and he just sits there waiting to peck with his 2 fingers because he's been in jail and never learned how to type. So he's just
He's been in jail now for most of his life.
Kiryu's so asexual, too. Like,
he is not a sexual figure.
no.
He will take you on a date to do karaoke. He will not fuck you.
That's the best minigame I've ever seen in a game.
That is really fun.
Yes, I would agree. This is the best minigame. According to Raw Dog's lore, we officially say typing of the boobies from Yakuza 6 is our favorite minigame. Good Lord. Me neither. Other minigames, the Nyan Nyan Cafe, where you can find and feed cats at a cat cafe.
Yeah,
Makes
works.
sense.
Same game.
Yeah.
Also spearfishing, which it goes into a first-person style thing where you're underwater and you actually can punch a shark in cutscenes, like with heat actions.
Yeah. I get that.
Those are things that happen. Favorite sub story: the girl who leapt through time. Girl claims to be from the future and needs to stop her father from being murdered.
Also a great anime movie.
Is it just me, or as the Yakuza series continues, it becomes more and more like Doctor Who?
Doctor Who is not out of place with Yakuza. You're right about that. Anything can happen. I'm sure there's been aliens in these games. I just haven't found that in my research. Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise. Don't need to talk about it. It's not a Yakuza game, but it has the same fighting system, which is kind of cool.
Interesting. I remember playing a demo of that and being very underwhelmed.
Yeah, well, it's people aren't playing these games for the fighting. They're not. They're playing it for the experience of the world and
Now,
the
Fist of the
characters.
North Star is an important manga to me.
It's a very so I know the lore and the cultural influence of Fist of the North Star. Unfortunately, my experience with that whole world has been a really shitty movie made in '98 with Gary Daniels.
Did you know John Cena loves that movie? They just started releasing deluxe versions of it, and I've been collecting them.
That's cool.
It's very good.
Yeah.
And I read it all when I was in high school on some fucking like manga websites.
I actually, if you're willing to loan me some of the Fist of the North Star stuff, I'd love
Oh,
to
sure.
read
I
it.
only have one volume so far, but yeah, I can do it.
Let's briefly mention Judgment and Lost Judgment also came out. These are definitely sequels to the Yakuza games. They're in Kamurocho. They don't feature a lot of the same characters, but similar fighting styles. Jamie, what are your thoughts on those?
It was actually my very first experience with the Yakuza series. Dom got me kind of hooked on Judgment. I haven't finished it because it's a long-ass game, but I think it took all of the best parts of Yakuza and boiled it into a very, very solid game. You're a disgraced, hotshot, young up-and-start lawyer, and you get this crime boss off on a murder charge. And then you later discover that, oh, shit, he actually did it. And you're so overwrought with grief that you quit being a lawyer and you become a private detective. But you still maintain your relationship with your old law firm because that's where you get a lot of your juicy evidence and insight. The fighting is actually really good. They add some detective mechanics where some of your side missions, you have like a tech geek that helps you out. Some of your side missions, you have to hack things or get a drone to come down and get like a heat signature from who you're talking to see if they're lying or not. They bring it to, understandably it's the Yakuza world, but they bring it to the other side of the table.
Sure.
You have ties to the Yakuza because unfortunately you're an orphan and you were raised by a Yakuza guy and you were in line to be part of it, but you never wanted that life, so you broke away from it.
What I would be most interested about in visiting Judgment, because to me this is, again, more Yakuza, but it's nice that it's not Kiryu and that it's a new side of the story of Kamurocho. Plus, after playing Like a Dragon, it'd be interesting to see, because I know the first Judgment takes place before and Lost Judgment takes place after Like a Dragon. So it'd be interesting to see what Kamurocho was like right before Ichiban got out. And yeah.
I thought it was actually a really solid game. I think it's, if you don't like the soap opera drama of Yakuza, I would say still check out Judgment. I think it's a tight game.
Okay.
And the reason that our main character can't do karaoke in the Judgment series is because of he's a very real famous actor in Japan, and just getting his likeness for the game was one set of hurdles, but to get that character to sing is a different, or to get that like a likeness to sing is a very different set of hurdles. So that's why that wasn't included, which is unfortunate. Because the karaoke is a major part of the series.
Payu Payu is in the game as a mini game though.
Puyo Puyo?
Puyo. I never pronounce it.
I'm
right,
like, is there
but,
another one?
I actually got lost in the Sega arcade bar in Judgment, and I started playing Puyo Puyo. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
You said it
Okay,
now.
Nice.
Finally.
And Katie comes back from work, and she knew I was playing the game. She comes in, what the fuck are you playing? It almost seemed like I was watching porn. It was like embarrassing, right? She's like,
And you're like,
fuck is-
oh, and you finally zipped up your pants.
And you
Jamie,
went
why-
back, you went back to the typing with the boobies
The
mini game.
boobies, yeah.
And she's like, fine then. I know that Judgment does feature the Sega Master System as a console you can collect for.
that rings a bell. I can't remember how many hours I got into the game, but it got...
Which is weird that they wouldn't, like, all right, we have Sega arcades. It's cool that they could have also included some Sega consoles at some point. Just have a
Yeah.
Genesis with Sonic the Hedgehog 1.
In his apartment, right?
Right.
Like if Uncharted can do that with Crash Bandicoot, why not have Sonic in Judgment?
Is Crash Bandicoot playable in Uncharted?
In Uncharted 4, I believe it is.
Is it the whole game?
I'm pretty sure it's the whole game.
No.
It's all about time runs though. It's like speed runs. You're competing against your girlfriend or wife at the point. It's been so long since I've played Uncharted, but you sit down and you can challenge to time runs in Crash Bandicoot. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good Easter egg.
Do you have anything else about Judgment or Lost Judgment you'd necessarily want to say?
I haven't played Lost Judgment. It looks cool, but
I've heard it's more of what was great about Judgment, but
Yeah.
more and better.
it's just like Yakuza, right? It's taking the
And
elements
another one, and another
one, and another one. Just tweaking things, adding booby porn, and
Just this is my only thing I'm saying about like what I think Yakuza needs to do. Just let Kazama Kiryu rest. Let him be done.
he has worked his ass off and has been in jail half of his life.
Yeah.
Let him retire.
He doesn't need to be in any more games.
Just let him run his orphanage in peace.
Well, he can't. No, he won't do that anymore. No, he can't.
It's too dangerous.
Well, after Yakuza 6, he may or may not be dead. So he's retired.
right now.
And then everyone's like, whoa.
It'll be like Yakuza 10 and he's a geriatric in a wheelchair with dialysis machine behind him.
Also can kick everyone's ass still.
Of course, with his wheelchair.
Well, let's get our final
it up.
thoughts on the Yakuza series. Whoever wants to go first.
I probably have like the least amount to say. I have the least experience with it compared to you, Brad, because you just like blew through all of them. I see the draw in the game. I see why people love the game. I enjoyed my time with the games that I played. At the same time, I see the fatigue you can get with it.
Yeah.
But
I'm right there with you.
Well, it's just like Assassin's Creed. I need to take a year off at least.
It's any long serialization of games out there where you need to take that break. Maybe take a page from Rockstar and wait 7 years before you release a game, right?
Or Elder Scrolls and wait 12, 14.
You know, sometimes the wait is good, sometimes the wait is bad. But I think if they do continue on with Judgment or if they do continue on with Ichiban, I think they need to really take the series to a whole new level and introduce new elements, break up the story, right? Take away the elements that made the Yakuza series, give it a new life.
Yeah, I'm right there with you actually. This is a series that always has potentially really sparked my interest and then has given me that fatigue that you were talking about. And maybe it's because for this podcast especially, I try to experience a lot of different things. I'm also a great seeker of video games. I think anyone who listens to this would know that. And when something is so similar and so familiar, unless it hits just right, I don't think this is a game for everyone. And that's the first thing I can say. I think this is a game made for people who want that familiarity. They want whatever the hell this is going to be, and they go with it. Whereas I'm like constantly just like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? And if the next thing is kind of the same thing, that's a little problematic for me.
It's the people that love it, whatever the medium you're consuming.
Yeah.
I think this series is for people that they want the same. They want the familiarity. They want to feel within that
It's
world.
pro wrestling.
Again, it's pro wrestling. It's
Always the same.
It's the Rocky franchise. It's the MCU. It's whatever
Right.
long movie franchise. It's whatever long book franchise. Harry Potter. You name it. It's you love that world and you want to continue to experience that world.
So play Yakuza 0,
0 is my top choice.
play Yakuza 2 Kiwami, because that is just height Kazuma Kiryu being him before. It just feels tired where, all right, he's back. All right, he's back. Who's this guy? Oh, it's the fourth chairman. He's here to fucking fight an entire army again. That's boring. And eventually it becomes boring. So yeah, I think I don't recommend anybody play all of them unless you really are into this, because I think it's absolutely great what these games are. Having a place and a time and the gameplay, once it becomes very refined, it's tenable, the fighting. That's the least reason why I'm invested, though. I'm not there for the combat. I'm there to know the characters, and it's cinematic, and the music's great. We didn't talk anything about the music, but the music is great. And the mini games, it's the premium adventure mode is really cool, where after you beat the game, you can just kind of hang out. You can go to bars, you can go do mini games, you can interact with people, but
that's not necessarily a new concept, though. Like GTA has done that for years. Rockstar, any of their games, they've done that. But it's a good feature. It's a good feature.
It's different for this, though, where there are 20 to 30 different mini games, many that are very fleshed out. And mostly it's just about going and hanging out in a city. And the other day after I finished Like a Dragon, I was still able to pick it up 2 weeks later and said, just fucking wander around Kamurocho for a while, and it's fun. And I just let Kazama Kiryu sleep, keep pursuing Like a Dragon, which we will talk about soon, and just do something new.
Yeah.
Which Assassin's Creed, that's another game I'm comparing this to a lot, because that is the same thing where another year, another game, another year, another game, and everyone got tired as fuck of it. And I don't want this to be something that just keeps happening with Yakuza games, because what you have is good. Just take your time and make it worth it when you make a release. Rather,
It's already been 2 years now since Like a Dragon was released, so they are actually taking their time.
But Lost Judgment came out afterwards, and that is part of the Yakuza series.
Yeah, but having two different styles of game can actually be fine.
Help break it up a little bit.
Yep.
If you want to hear us talk about Yakuza Like a Dragon, that'll be Patreon exclusive at the $3 tier, so very accessible. We have a lot of strong feelings about Like a Dragon, and I'm very excited to talk about it.
Yeah.
And that will be Patreon exclusive for a while, so patreon.com/Hair of the Dogcast.
The year in video games. We're actually coming up on our game of the year for Hair of the Dogcast, and I have been trying like fucking crazy to get a bunch of this shit in. Now, Brad's not going to have a lot of opinions on Halo Infinite, and I don't want to stain his ideas on it yet.
Yep.
So we should avoid that conversation for right now.
Unless we can have it done in 3 minutes.
It's fine.
It's fine. I think. Put it this way. I just bought a new TV, so I'm playing it at 120 FPS. The core gameplay is buttery smooth. I like the improvements they've done to the overall gameplay. You don't have to waste a clip to kill one little bad guy anymore. Sorry, I don't know all the names of the guys. My biggest issue with it, it's not a next gen game. The cutscenes are garbage. They're jerky. The animations are bullshit.
I think that they really pulled this together in the best way possible. I'm even saying this. They rescued this thing from utter disaster, and you can tell there are a lot of, now based on the map and everything that you're dealing with, there are a lot of gameplay mechanics that they added last minute.
I fully agree.
Feels that way.
Yeah. It's not a next gen game, though.
But it's fun.
It's fun as shit.
I'm
loving it.
Let me put it this way: it feels simultaneously of two worlds. It feels hyper modern and also extremely old.
What game?
Halo Infinite.
Yeah. We talked about it, not to taint it for you.
So you like it?
I'm enjoying my time with it, and it is infinitely playable. There are a lot of things about the Halo franchise I don't like, and this is actually the one that I'm actually like. I'm feeling this a little bit more.
I'm actually having the most fun playing this one.
Yeah.
Than any other one.
I never got this like there is a lot of bullshit in the story, and people are like, well, you got to play the other ones to understand it. And I said, I can really just guess. It is no offense to Halo.
It's written by 12-year-olds.
The story is not like the most complicated thing on the face of the planet. And I can guess what a Forerunner is. I can guess what Cortana did in the last game.
These sci-fi tropes have been done 1,000 times.
That's right.
But it's not even just that. This game is made for the. I hate to say it, especially because I don't like I think a lot of talented people worked on it. I think a lot of these games are made for the lowest common denominator. And I just think that's how it is though. Like I'm a big guy. They all talk like this, and then the little ones are like me. I'm like, all right.
The story is a vessel for the gameplay.
Yeah.
And Master Chief is a great character.
He's actually got some snark in this one, and I actually found him very entertaining.
I don't think anyone has ever said, man, I love the villains in Halo. Like, the main baddies are great, because that's not the point. You're there to be Master Chief and to have your own badass story of gameplay. What you talk about is
I know
that one time I was on a Warthog and this guy boarded me and then I jumped out and did a rocket launcher shot. It's things like that becomes the stories that you remember, and Master Chief says a couple iconic lines with the badass voice.
It's fun because in this game too, I feel like Master Chief is literally over his own bullshit. He talks in a way now where he's like there's the new Cortana, quote unquote.
Not Cortana, but Cortana, yeah.
And he's just kind of like, she'll like say something and he'll be like, well, probably not. Yeah. And then
he has some sass. I think he's more experienced.
I mean, we'll have a infinite review on the next Hair of the Dogcast, frankly, because I've got a lot of things to say about it, and this is going to be on someone in the group's Game of the Year list. And I won't say that it's mine.
It's definitely not mine. It's good. It's not that good.
It is. There are a few things vying. There's one that I played a week ago that has completely encapsulated me, but it is going to wait until the Game of the Year discussion because this game is so fucking good.
I can maybe guess it, but I won't.
You don't have to.
Okay.
This is one I haven't even talked about before.
Okay.
So, I mean, take for that what you will.
Metroid is another one that's on my mind lately, but there's also...
Or why? Because you played...
Dread,
a very close to perfect video game recently.
Recently on my other show, Need for Speed Running, and I've conveyed some other thoughts before, but I don't want people to think I don't like Metroid Dread. It's a very solid 8 out of 10. The fact that it wasn't a 10 out of 10 for me is why I'm disappointed. It's still fucking awesome, but there are a few things about it which I have issues with, which makes me not...
Oh, of course.
Those loading screens are abysmal. And not all of the art design works for me.
They're real cute to look at, though.
Oh, they're cute, but man, they're fucking bad.
Yeah, it's a Switch, dude. I hate to tell you, you've been spoiled.
Looking back...
Those are not long loading screens. I'm sorry.
But compare that to some of the load times on a PS5 or Series X, right?
They cannot fucking help that, though. Like
looking... back, like Breath of the Wild. Does Breath of the Wild have a lot of loading screens?
Not really.
Well, that's all I have to say. If Breath of the Wild doesn't need a lot of loading screens and Metroid Dread has
a much smaller game for all. Yeah.
And Metroid Dread, hop in a teleporter. All right, I grabbed a power up and you go right back.
There's a lot more going on in that game. I'm sorry to say.
And I don't love the control scheme necessarily.
No.
But it's still, and I don't want to sound like I don't like the game because it's 8 out of 10.
You're more of a Castlevania boy. I can tell this.
It's just, and I love the boss battles. They're like really well designed, and I liked learning their patterns. But
yeah,
the Emmys were cute for a while and novel, and then eventually they just became tedious and not that exciting.
Yeah.
I love that it takes place after Fusion, and they bring in all of the Metroid lore. And
well, it's the end of it.
I did have 2 comments I wanted to read that were sent to us about Yakuza before I forget. Instagram user, my last name was too long, says, I'm a relatively fresh fan of the series, started with 0. I just want to say that most of them are part of my favorite adventure games ever. I love the arena, but there are so many compelling mini games. I highly suggest playing it if you like story-based games. And this other one is from Into a Pit of Vipers. The only video games I really played prior to starting the series was Pokemon and Animal Crossing.
Love it.
I got Kiwami 1 earlier this year on a whim, and it blew my mind that I could enjoy a beat-em-up game. I can spend hours in any of the games after completing the main story because of the abundance of goofy stuff to do. So just want to make sure I read those before.
Sure.
I forget.
Yeah.
Anything you've been playing that you would like to briefly talk about?
You know, like to Dylan's point, you know, kind of thinking about what my game of the year would be. I'm still a little bit on the fence. You know, there's still a few more weeks to really dive in, but I've played some good games. Not all of them new. I think for this year, a top contender, and it's dated, but would be Nier Automata. I really, really enjoyed it.
It has to be from this year to be a part of the game of the year contender.
Yeah.
I will actually give a 2 months.
There should be two categories.
should be
your personal favorite game you played this year.
What do you mean, like best old game?
Yeah. Or
No,
like
you only get one.
But your favorite game you play this year, and then your game of the year.
For release in
Well,
this year.
I'm actually saying that there should be a top 5 for game of the year, and then there should be like a game that you played that isn't necessarily
So put
that
it
you
this
just
way.
discovered.
So right now, I
I will
have to
also
say
give a
the-
2-month leeway if it's from November of last year. It's fine.
I'll say this. I think Deathloop, really solid game. If you had, even if
Can't
you're not
play
into
it.
first person shooters,
I love it. I love that I can't play it.
it's. I think the story is really unique. I think the setup is super unique. I think the integration of the DualSense controller is really, really well done. It's not gimmicky. It's purposeful. Yeah, I as of right now, I would probably say Deathloop.
Deathloop.
It kind of blew me away.
I really want to play it. I love Arcane, and it is with deep regret that they released something on a system that most people can't get.
Yeah, you know, and I think that's the issue for a lot of
So-
new games right now, right?
I mean, I wanted to play Returnal. I've wanted to play a bunch of these games. They literally are not going to let me. So it's
Returnal
fine.
is a very close, if not tied. It's so fucking hard. I cannot get past this one part. It's
you're
hard.
talking to someone who loves those
Yeah,
experiences.
but
so
it to see the evolution of House Marquee from where they began to Returnal, it blows your mind.
there are a few that are vying for the number 1 position. The one I literally played a week ago, though, is I got to tell you, there are certain types of video games.
Is it a mobile game based on Final Fantasy VII Remake?
No, yeah.
It's
How
First
did you
Soldier.
guess?
I knew it. It was First Soldier the whole
No,
time.
there's no point in holding it back. It's called Loop Hero.
Loop Hero.
It's called Loop Hero.
Loop Euro?
Hero.
Euro.
I had one of those last
Like
night. The killer, the garlic
Greek-
sauce.
Like the Greek sandwich. Okay, the Euro.
Tzatziki, yeah.
Sounds great.
Loop Hero is so good. And it is so hard to explain that this
But you just started it. Is this your new love for the game without you having enough time to
this is
ruminate
the
on
problem.
it?
I still have another week to decide this.
What
Okay.
platform is it on?
Right now I'm playing it on the Switch.
Okay.
It was made for PC though.
Okay.
This might turn people off.
Didn't
because
Hades come out this year?
Hades came out last year. That was my game of the year last year.
See, I clearly paid a lot of attention to Game of the Year discussions.
So one of the things I will say is if your game of the year was 2 months before the newest year, I think that's fair. So I will include anything personally, and I'm going to say this to everyone on the Dogcast. Maybe I'm even going to run this. Anything from November on
That's cheating.
is up for because some people. Well, no, I don't actually think that's cheating because when it comes out so late in the year, not a lot of people with fucking lives, like they can't get to these fucking video games. So
I'm on your side with this one.
Get a podcast and quit your jobs. Play some video games.
but it's also like your game of this year would have been Persona 5 if you had it your way.
No. That of last year, I played Persona 5.
You played it this year.
No, I played it last year. We did a very Persona 5 Christmas last year.
Never mind.
I literally have the time of that very down. This year so far of modern games, I would have to say probably Resident Evil Village is my game of the year that I have played.
It's in my top 5. Yep.
And as far as my favorite game I played this year, it's the game of love I play with you, Dylan.
Oh. Okay. It's not reciprocal. But
I'd also
It's a one-player game.
I'd also add,
it's just looking at a picture of me.
It's photoshopping
It's that
you into different scenarios.
It's that Wolverine meme where he's lying in bed.
Brad just has his PS4 controller out trying to tap the buttons to type back to you as you're slowly taking your clothes off.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted a picture, I mean, I could just...
I got Photoshop, dude.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Imagine Party Babies was pretty tight.
Imagine Party Dylan.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
I just
dude,
imagined that.
It's
pretty good. You haven't really seen
Be
me
Afraid
party.
of Party Dylan is what the name of that game would be.
Fear the Party Dylan.
Fear the Party Dylan.
But yeah, for me, Deathloop, Returnal.
Those are good choices too. I wish I could have played them because they might have been on my list, but
Yeah,
maybe we'll have to hang out. You'll have to show me them.
do it. It's a close tie because Deathloop is not as challenging because Returnal is like a Souls-like game,
Right,
You know,
yeah.
it's a bullet hell Souls-like.
My game of the year for next year is going to be Elden Ring. Very excited to talk about that.
Bitch, you have so many opportunities to just play Dark Souls. There are 3 Dark Souls games that you've barely even
You
touched.
underestimate how much research and other work I have to do.
I know, but then you end up playing Dragon Ball Z Kakarot.
Dude, sometimes you just need... I like garbage games sometimes.
Yeah, I get it, I guess.
You need the break. You really
And
do.
sometimes I need to just play garbage to forget, to not think about stuff.
Sure.
I was playing the free Gems of War on PlayStation for a long time because I didn't want to get into this 10-hour story, 50-hour story. I just wanted to sit there,
Sure.
hit buttons on my TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new Cuphead trailer DLC looks great. I'm excited for that.
Finally, it's coming out.
I was wondering. I've been waiting for a long time.
I remember playing Cuphead with you, you and Dom. That was a good time.
Cuphead
it's
is
a great game.
Cuphead is great,
It's very good.
and the DLC looks good. But it's the end of the year, and we want you all to get as happily drunk as you can New Year's Eve if you want to. Be safe. Play games. Support your favorite podcasts that you're listening to right now. Ignore the other ones. We're the Raw Dogs.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. And if you want to hear our Yakuza Like a Dragon episode, just $3 on Patreon. It'll be coming soon. My name is Brad. Thanks for listening.
My name is Dylan, the dragon of...
The Demon of
Dumb fuckies.
The Demon of Dogcast.
Okay, the demon of the Dogcast, yeah.
And
That's a
I'm
good
just
one.
Jamie.
And I'm
You're the Bone Zone.
I'm the Bone Zone.
the Raw Dog of Dog. I don't know. Oh, fuck it. I'm just Brad. Whatever. I don't care.
I'm the only one with the title. That's great.
That's 'cause
I
you're-
own you guys.
You're a cuck.
But I also have
You're
a
the
ton
cuck.
of
He has Tonfa. Dylan will not be returning next season.
Perfect.
All right.
Perfect. I'll nap.
Yeah, find us on Facebook and Instagram at Hair the Dogcast. We are on Twitter at Hot Dogcast. And we will be back next year for Mega Manuary X, where we're very excited to talk about Ride Borsky and Volt Catfish.
Bolt Catfish is pretty cool. He's got a good design.
You've heard it on here first, folks. Volt Catfish is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And we'll be joined by very special returning guest, Nate, our Mega Man expert. So excited
Perfect.
for that. All right. We'll see you next year.
Bye.
Bye.